Oh, great. Hi, everyone.
Now they can hear me. I think I'll pull your level down a little bit. There you go. Okay, no, I think we're good. I think we got good levels.
Got Prosperity Wheat from Market Garden.
Ooh, delicious.
Yep. They're in the west side.
Make sure that. Oh no, I'll just go to the chat once I start recording, so I don't forget to record. Okay, I think I'm good to go, Mike. You want to get started?
1 second. How do I forget?
Hang on, I gotta make sure there's no pornography over on the screen.
There you go. People can't see my Ori special. There it is. My Ori special edition came in from Limited Run Games, which I forgot that I bought. Supposedly, my actual thing is coming in soon. I was
trying. Because that's different. So it's different than the.
Your music box is not in the special edition. That's the special thing. I don't know where that came from. But the fact that they're sending that out to some people, but not me, made me furious.
That's you know what? That's fair. You probably should be.
Yeah.
All right. So we got video. That looks good. Let me just go over here real quick.
I like your giant NES Advantage.
Yeah, I know, right? It's pretty cool.
You can see my arcade machine too now.
It's the size. It's bigger than my head. Yeah. You can see the arcade machine. It looks good.
How do you feel about the Hitman 3 video mishap? What's he talking about? Is there a mishap?
Oh, did I make it? I did a video mishap. We could talk about that. That's fine.
Well, what'd you do?
This is not going to go on the podcast. This is like early. Okay. I posted my speed run and I quickly glanced over the levels and I'm like, I don't know what they've shared and what they haven't, and they haven't revealed the last couple of locations, and so it was on there, and I'm like, just like, look how fast I'm going, and then I checked the
You're constantly accidentally leaking things.
I know.
That Series S.
I checked the comments 10 minutes ago, and it's a bunch of people like, you're gonna go to jail, you're going to prison, Jeff Grubb.
I don't think you're going to jail.
And I'm like, I'm thinking that too, but I'm like, you know what, still though, I'm gonna delete this. So I took it down right away, and then
people can break into the Capitol building and not go to jail. I think you're gonna be okay.
Somehow I feel like I would have a better chance of going to jail than they would. Then I checked my DMs, and the PR was like, hey, please, and I'm like, oh, I already did. I'm so sorry. So there's my video mishap. All right, let's get started. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. IO Interactive, my bad.
They do not forgive you, and neither do I.
That's fair. Yeah, but still, I went really fast though. It was a very good video.
You're all about speedrunning now. I'm gonna beat your Hitman records, and you'll be really mad. I'm gonna hit you where it hurts.
Oh man, I would be hurt, but I'm not worried at all, Mike. I'm just not worried.
Well, all right. Let's get the show going here.
All right, let me get here. Okay, ready? I'm gonna count down and go. 5, 4, 3. Can I still go do Christmas music?
No, off season.
All right. That means what that means we have to do. That means we have to put in the other music. I haven't set it up on my stream deck. So
well, that's what you get.
It's the internet. You're busy.
I
Let's
love
do
Christmas
this
more than anybody, but come on.
I agree. No, I'm totally against that. I looked down at my stream deck, and the only button I have here is Xmas intro.
You're lazy, is what you're saying.
Very, very incredibly lazy. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the GamesBeat Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of video games, so you don't have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeffrey Grubb, and with me is
Mike Minotti.
In today's episode, we have news, we have games, we have Hitman 3. I can talk about that. I've been playing that for a while. First, though, thank you for joining us. You can get more from Mike and me at GamesBeat.com. If you have something to share with us, you can email the podcast at games+podcast@adventurebeat.com or get us on Twitter at GamesBeat. Thank you to Carlos Ayin, who is Insane in the Rain music on YouTube for the use of our theme song. If you are listening to this on the website player widget, or you're watching on YouTube, there's an audio version of the show you could subscribe to. It is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere where pods are caught. And if you like the show, rate us wherever you're listening. It helps people find the show, or tell a friend. Mike, how you doing? It's 2021. It's been just a spectacular year so far, I feel.
Yeah, I'm great. I feel fantastic. I probably should have gotten 2 of these things. But,
Yeah.
Bad, I guess. I'm doing bad, but that's all right. Maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, it's you get 6 days into the year and you're like, this isn't so bad, and then of course all hell breaks loose. You're like, wow, we couldn't get through 1 week.
I have an arcade machine now.
You do have an arcade machine. So
there you go.
So it's you were telling me a little bit about it. It's like powered by like an Android thing, but like what kind of games are on it?
Man, gosh, I don't even know how much I'm allowed to say about that. I think that we know. No, they said what the preloaded games, like the big 2 that are preloaded on it, are Dragon's Lair and Double Dragon, 2 Dragon games. And there's some other things, but and then it has like a digital store, like an app store where you can buy more. And right now it's a lot of Data East stuff, some Sega stuff, and a few other odd bits and pieces here and there. So.
Right, the kinds of games that you would see as like those mini, like really small arcade machines, like Target or whatever, like Data East and stuff.
Yeah, but you don't get like, there's no Capcom, there's no Konami, there's no Namco, which is a bit of a bummer. But hey, it's neat. It's an arcade machine. Took forever to put that thing together. Like it literally came in 2 boxes, the top part and the bottom part, and I felt like a carpenter / electrician trying to get actually the electrical part was easy, but yeah, it wasn't hard, but it was just slabs of wood that I had to eventually screw together.
It looks cool though. Is it like comfortable to use? Is it like the right size? Do you feel like
it doesn't, I know that most of these things are slightly smaller than like the actual arcade machines. This thing I haven't measured it, but it feels good. Feels nice. Looks good.
Yeah, I got a new gamer chair. My Captain America chair
too.
Yeah,
mine's not Captain. Mine's just Secret Lab. This was my Christmas present from my father.
How do you like it? I actually really like mine.
I was literally sitting in an office chair that I got from like home, like Office Max or something. So this is a pretty big upgrade for me.
Right. Yeah, that's
it's not Captain America theme, so that's a bummer. But hey,
I like this chair a lot, and the Captain America theming is surprisingly really good. They did a really good job with it. Every time I see the chair, I'm like, ooh, that's nice. I'm a big Captain America guy now, so it's cool, and they really nailed like the color scheme that I really like that he used in like not Civil War, but what was the good one? The spy movie, the spy movie one.
The second one. Yes. Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Yes, exactly.
The one I liked the most. Yeah, it was the best one. Yeah.
The kind of the kind of like dark blue they used in that one. But yeah, it's a good chair. But we're not here to talk just about things in the background of our video feeds right now. There's stuff happening in the world. You want to get into the news? Should we go there first, or what?
Yeah. I mean, that's what we usually do. What else? Why? What else? What are my other options?
I don't know. I'm like, is there anything
else?
Why
are you asking me?
I don't know. It's like I don't know. I feel like we need to catch up. We skipped a week. We didn't do anything last week. So I'm like, is there anything else to talk about? I guess not. We could just go into the news. Let's do the show. All right. So news. Nintendo is acquiring Next Level Games is the first thing I have written down here. This isn't too surprising, but other than the fact that Nintendo almost never does acquisitions. So I think you were the one in our Slack chat. You were like, the last one I could think of was Monolith in 2007, and that was the last one they've done. So 13 years between acquisitions, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you like, we're going to think like, who would they acquire? This certainly makes sense. They've been a really good partner for them. Luigi's Mansion 3 has been a really big hit. It's a really quality game. I'm sure that Luigi's Mansion is going to be like a lot of Nintendo franchises where going forward, they're going to want one of those on every platform, right? And you can throw other games their way too, and they can do a pretty good job with them. They had that one. What was the one that they did that was a flop right before Luigi's Mansion? Now I can't remember. I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, find out, because I don't remember. I like their games. They have really good tech in terms of like animation. The animation in Luigi's Mansion 3 is great. Punch Out.
They did Federation Force, which isn't really like that's not their fault.
Not their fault.
That was just a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't know whose idea that was.
Yeah, and it seems clear to me. Like, so you say, oh, is Nintendo starting to do acquisitions now? Then is that what this means? And I think the story is clearly no.
No.
Nintendo's not going to change the way they operate. What happened here really is Next Level Games looked at the market, and the people that own the stock, which is like the leadership of the studio, was like, we are right now worth probably more than we'll ever be worth in terms of like, developers. There are a lot of acquisitions happening. So there's a lot of hunger out there for talent, like a studio like Next Level Games. So that pushes their prices up. They just had a big hit, so that pushes their prices up. Gaming overall is at like EA stock price. Everyone's stock prices are at like near all-time highs. in that sort of market, if you are the people that own the stock in a company like Next Level Games, you're like, maybe it's time to sell, and then you turn first to Nintendo and say, hey, this is what we're thinking, and Nintendo is like, okay, it is significantly more expensive for us to buy you now instead of trying to recreate a similar relationship with a new studio by letting you go. So to them, this was just a no-brainer situation where, like, if this company is trying to get out from underneath us or trying to go out on their own, let's just pay them the money they want. It'll be worth it to us in the end.
Why not? They're good. That they want to work with them more. May as well secure them now.
Yeah.
It's not like they have a lot of Western studios. I don't know if they have anything outside of retro, really. So there's,
in terms of Western studios, there's also Nerd, which is like Nintendo European Research Division, and they're the ones that did the emulation tech for the Mario 3D All Stars game.
Okay.
And so that kind of stuff
from
right
from
still
making new software.
And I'm pretty sure they got Nintendo in their name. They must be first party. So yeah. But
it'd be awkward if they weren't.
Yes, it'd be pretty bad, probably. There would probably be some little anger there. But yeah, so just Nintendo operating like normal, and sometimes that means making the once every decade acquisition that they make. Number 2 on my story here, Sony Interactive Entertainment is ending production of most PS4 models in Japan. This is something that also didn't surprise me. What did you think when you heard this, Mike?
Same thing, not surprised. I mean, the PlayStation 4 did not have a great time in Japan, right? Like, Japan in general has been kind of falling off of consoles, right? That's been the trend there. I'm actually not sure how the Switch is doing there. I think it's doing
very good.
Better. Yeah, it's doing good, but yeah, Sony has been losing ground there, but they don't really care because they're doing so well in like North America and Europe and stuff like that, right?
Right, and even then, I wouldn't be surprised if we see similar moves in territories like the United States, North America, pretty soon after this, just because the market has shifted since the PS2. The PS2, like, it would have been madness to see the PS2 get discontinued right after the PS3 came out, because the PS2 sold so well for so long and continued to sell even after the PS3 came out. But all those people, and we've talked about this before, all those people that would come in and buy the PS2 when it got really cheap, those people are no longer in the hardware market. Not really. They're putting their money into buying tablets
or buying Switches. Honestly,
buying Switches. Yeah. If you have $300, you're not going to get a PS4. Like, especially if you don't have a Switch, it just doesn't make any sense.
People are moving on. I mean, what the big story right now is that people are mad because they can't get PlayStation 5s, right?
Yes.
You don't need to worry about making more PlayStation 4s.
Yep. But yeah, I think related to the story, PS5 still really hard to get everywhere, but very, very hard to get in Japan. The PS4, I think, outsold the PS5 significantly in Japan last week.
Just because supply.
Just because supply. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I think that if ending the PS4 production in Japan means that they could shift some of those production lines to PS5, everyone wins. We can they'll be able to spread that around everywhere. But it's not like PlayStation's completely dead in Japan. So those people in that country will be happy to have a few more on shelves that they can actually buy. Let's see here. So this is just an interesting news bit that came out of some interviews that the people that founded Xbox were. They think they did a what's it called? Oral history. They did an oral history.
Oral history.
Yes, they did the oral history of Xbox at Bloomberg. I can't remember the author of the story's name, but she got all these people together, did some interviews, and organized.
Did he write a book about the start of Xbox?
He did, yeah. So he didn't get
mad. Did he get scooped here?
Yeah, he did. Totally. We should yell at him.
Oh, we should.
So the scoop is that 20 years ago, Microsoft apparently made a meeting with Nintendo because Steve Ballmer told them to, which I love. I love the idea of Steve Ballmer telling the video game guys at Microsoft, go buy Nintendo, because that's totally something Steve Ballmer would think. And they went to go buy Nintendo, and at that meeting, Nintendo listened for a minute, and then they realized that Microsoft was serious, and then Nintendo laughed them out of basically they laughed at them for an entire hour until they left. And I think the people that were at that meeting now are like, that was actually a very funny thing to be a part of. But I'm sure at the time it was like, oh, why did we even try to do this? But yeah, the idea of anyone buying Nintendo really ever, I can't think of any company that would really be able to do that, because Nintendo would never be down with it, especially Microsoft.
Never. And right, if it was going to be, it would almost, I don't know, it would almost be like an entertainment company. Yeah, but even then, you can't see it.
Right.
Thank God too. But it would have been bad for the industry. Right?
It would not have been
awful.
good. Yes,
it would have been a really bad thing. Didn't they also say that they made a move at Square at some point? Also?
Oh yeah. There was a list of companies that they tried to buy. Yeah, Square was definitely
which
one
makes
of them.
sense because we know that they were obsessed with trying to get Japanese support on there for a bit. And that's why you had Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey and stuff like that. But yeah, thank God Square Enix didn't agree to that. If anybody might have been slightly vulnerable to it, it would have been them.
Thank you to Anti-Macro in the chat. Dina Bass wrote the story. So when I was reading it, it seemed very interesting. So go give that a check. Check that out if you get a chance.
Speaking of chat, this is a new watcher here, Huda Todd, and normally we don't read questions unless there's a super chat, but it's a new guy.
Yeah.
So I think we could throw it in there. But apparently in the end of the year podcast, Major Nelson did. He said there's surprises coming in the 2 to 3 years. He wants to know if he's talking about hardware or software. I think it's pretty safe to say software, right?
I think it's safe to say software. Yeah, I mean, if it's hardware, it's not going to be the kind of stuff that we care very much about, right? It's going to be dongles that you plug in the back of a TV so you can get streaming Xbox Live or whatever. You can get the Xbox Game Pass streaming from the cloud, that sort of thing. So. But mostly it's going to be software, and it needs to be software. If they're teasing surprises and they're not teasing software at this point, I think they're in.
It's pretty, but it's pretty safe for Major Nelson to say we have surprises for the next 2 to 3 years. I mean, of course they do.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah. I mean, they've announced a lot of games that are coming over the next 2 to 3 years, but there's definitely more coming. They definitely, especially, I mean, you say the word 3 years, that's a long time. So of course they have more surprises.
Man, I still associate Major Nelson with Xbox 360 era stuff. To me, that's crazy how his longevity. Good for him.
Yeah,
I sounded condescending. I mean it. Good for him. It's great.
Yeah, you just naturally sound condescending. It's something you nothing you can really do about that. I don't know. I'll ask around and see what because it's been the holidays came up and I stopped bugging sources and stuff. Now that's the new year, maybe I'll bug some people, see what we can find out.
Yeah, find out when Nintendo Direct's coming again.
Yeah, let's find out when the next Nintendo Direct is coming. That was a really hard thing to track down last year, so I don't think that's going to get any easier. But I'll give it a shot. Last story I have here is, and I know this is going to devastate you, Mike. Minecraft Earth is shutting down. So all of those beautiful buildings that you made, I don't know how you play Minecraft Earth.
I did not touch Minecraft Earth. I played Minecraft once when it was in alpha. I gave it a decent go then. I was like, this is neat, and kind of moved on. So I'm not a big Minecraft fan. It is interesting though, because this was something that they obnoxiously dragged out on all sorts of tech shows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Made us watch these giant presentations, and just did it?
No.
And it really makes you wonder about the future of AR gaming, which we all thought was going to be the next big thing because of Pokemon Go.
It turns out just Pokemon Go is big.
Just Pokemon Go. Not even the Harry Potter clone of Pokemon Go, right? That came and went with a whimper. Turns out just Pokemon Go. It doesn't matter what property you have attached to it. That's kind of interesting, and it's clear that AR, at least for a long time, until we get really good glasses, isn't going to matter. It's going to be niche stuff like Mario Kart Live, right? And I think the real interesting use of VR or AR, and I said this, I think, 10 years ago, whenever they were showing Halo 5 at E3, and they had their Microsoft Glass Halo experience thing where you were walking through, and they had us all wearing the glass eye set, so it looked like we looked out a window and we saw a hangar for all the Spartan airships and stuff. Theme parks is where this is going to go, and that's literally what the Mario Kart ride is using in Universal Japan. It's AR, and I think that's the application we're going to be seeing for a while. I don't think the AR video game revolution dream seems to be mildly dead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think
Unless it's 3DS with that Mind Blaster thing. That's rad.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, Mind Blaster. Yeah.
I don't know what that Mind Blaster. Their faces. They aren't minds.
The face. What is it? It's called Face something. Face
Face
War. Face War probably is what it's called.
Face War.
I did that with my cat. I put my cat's face on the thing, and it would fly. And then like it's been how long now? Almost 10 years. And now anytime I like open it up and like scroll over it, it's still my cat's like kitten face flying around the room whenever checking on it. Yeah, so it is very good. AR
Face Raiders.
Face Raiders. Thank you. Thank you,
ASAP Route.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Face Raiders. That's a good name too. But yeah, that's all I have for the news. The country's falling apart, but I mean, it's not really our purview here.
No, we don't want people in chat telling us Orange Man's bad again.
Yeah. Man.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid we have feelings about anything.
Heaven forbid we think the thing that is clearly and obviously true is true. Yeah. You know what? Questions. Let me get the questions up, Mike. You entertain the people while I figure out where to put the questions.
Look at this. For fidget spinners, they're back. And
fidget spinners are back, he says.
I like fidget spinners.
I never thought they went away. That's how cool I think they are.
I have a Batman one. That's cool. Here's my Mega Man 11 stickers, and I'm still terrified to put on anything because I like them too much, and I have to make sure they go on something real permanent. And my PC case is not permanent enough. Who knows when I'm replacing that?
Mm-hmm.
When I was 4, my dad got me a Mega Man sticker of Mega Man on the Rush Jet. And that was back when video game like merchandise was not really a thing, let alone Mega Man. Unless it was Mario, it didn't exist. So I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But I was like 3 or 4, so I just kept putting it on things and taking it off and put on things until it wouldn't work anymore. And was so upset that I remember it all these years later.
Oh, poor Mikey.
That's why I'm the disgruntled, bitter man that I am.
Yeah, you're just. It's really hard to even be around you, Mike. I think you really need to see someone. All right, I got the questions here. I even unspooled the things that were hidden by Twitter in the more replies, and of course, those are all to do with Elden Ring. Twitter knows I don't want to see anything about Elden Ring anymore, but we'll talk about Elden Ring a little bit here because there's.
Is there anything to say about Elden Ring? You're encouraging it.
I'm not trying. I'm just like trying to. Here's the thing. I don't know if I have a regulator for this sort of thing, Mike. It's really bad. I just want to tell people the truth about what I know, and it's not like a lot.
I can't handle the truth.
I can't handle them not being able to handle the truth. But and yet I just want to. I hate the idea that like people are out there like they're pining for this stuff. They're craving it so much, and it's like hurting them. They need to know. And there's like I think that we'll probably find out about it soon. People are talking like the next 2 months. That sounds reasonable to me. The next 2 months for Elden Ring seems viable. I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I wouldn't be surprised by like let's say by March. March, I think we should hear something about Elden Ring.
All right.
So a bunch of people asked about Elden Ring, so that just wipes all of those away right there. Let's
Next
see
couple
here.
Months or Jeff Grubb's dead.
Yes, that seems who knows? I think we probably all will be. So, all right, from Cyber Cretin on Twitter. Give it to me straight, Mr. Grubb. Is Starfield a Q3 release this year, and is there truth to the game having previously targeted 2020 prior to COVID?
This is the game I want to cancel, right?
Yeah, this is the game that you're always like, how dare they even make anything that's not Elder Scrolls 6? You're just like, it seems like a bad idea. That's your whole thing.
Yeah, it seems, yeah, absolutely. By the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, it's going to be like 13 or 14 years after the last one, which was the biggest hit in the franchise. Like, I don't usually like to put on my cynical business glasses here, but I can't believe that they've stunted the development of that game so much by making a random sci-fi game before that, which is giant scale and all that stuff. I don't know.
Well,
what do you know about Starfield?
Nothing, but I will say that looking back at patterns and stuff, this is a company, Bethesda, that did release Fallout 4 6 months after announcing it. So I think it's reasonable. Like, we haven't heard much about this game at all, but I don't think that means much. And it wouldn't. It's time, right, for that studio. I guess Fallout 76 is a game that studio made. But
yeah, but it clearly wasn't the A team, right?
It clearly wasn't, right?
There were people that were working on Starfield and even Elder Scrolls 6 instead of that.
Right.
It'd be weird if it wasn't this year, right? Or I don't know. It wouldn't be that I'd believe
Yes.
it if it didn't come out this year, but you would optimistically think it would. Quarter 3, I don't know about that. I would think quarter 4, but I'd feel like we would get a quarter 4 release date, and then it would get delayed from that. Is what I imagine is going to happen.
Right. I mean, it's coming out by 2022 for sure. I think. To me, that seems like it has
Or
to.
not at all.
Yeah, that or not at all. Right. Yeah. But I'm right there with you. Like the way you're describing it, like it would be weird, but I guess not that weird. It would get announced for Q4. Could put all that stuff sounds like exactly how I feel about it.
Right, but it can't be like, so whatever the time between Fallout 4 and Starfield was, it can't be that same amount of time between Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, can it?
No, it can't. I just don't think
like it can't.
it can. I mean, it seems like it just seems like a bad way to run a company. You are you're right. It's the biggest hit they've ever had, and you're gonna like make it 13 years between releases, maybe more. Yeah, that's too much. So that right there makes me feel like Starfield probably is in a position where it's ready to go soon, because they probably do want to get to Elder Scrolls 6. They probably want to like get that train rolling as well. So, this is another thing I want to like look into, but I bet it's going to be pretty hard to find out any real details on this, especially until the acquisition goes through with Microsoft, which I think is still pretty far away. I think they have a lot of paperwork they need to do there. Once that goes through, it might be a little bit easier to track this down, but by the time that goes through, we might be around E3 and they might be announcing it. So let's I guess we'll just have to wait and see there. Feeling optimistic about Elden Ring. There's another one of those questions. People asking about Nintendo Direct. People are just thirsty for news, Mike.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been, which I think me and you have loved it.
Yeah, it's been a nice break. Yeah.
It was such an exhausting year. Like I love that there hasn't been that much news for a bit. I've actually just been playing a lot of games, which has been great.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, I'm sure Nintendo Direct's gonna, because we're in that position where we were before, right? Where we were all freaking out last time. I don't think people are really freaking out yet, but where it's like, what the heck's coming out next for Nintendo? We don't really know.
Yeah, so that's the tenor of most of these questions. It's first direct of the year. Is there going to be a Zelda collection? Ocarina of Time for Switch. On Google,
The only thing that
ahead.
seems obvious, like whatever the next Nintendo Direct is, you would think that they would have to talk about Breath of the Wild 2 now, right?
Yes,
It's been so long, but again, that's the weird thing though. They haven't really done a normal Direct in a while anyway. So like asking for that is itself kind of weird. Like who knows what we're going to get from them? It might just be a random trailer for some game that it's going to come out of nowhere, like with Paper Mario or something. So Nintendo is already unpredictable, and now they seem more unpredictable than ever.
Yeah. When does 3D World come out? It comes out this month.
February, I think, actually, which is upsetting because I'd like to play that right now.
Yeah, me too. I wish I had that over the holidays. I keep like trying to stop myself from playing it on the Wii U or like on Dolphin or not Dolphin or on Cebu on the emulator for the Wii U. Yeah. So when we look at like that game's coming out in February then, and we know that there's all this timeline that where a bunch of stuff,
February 12th, yeah,
and then a bunch of stuff like ceases to exist from Nintendo on March 31st. I think between those dates is when we have to hear something, right? Have to. I hate using that term with Nintendo. We talked about this before too. Like Nintendo doesn't ever have to do anything. They could just do it however they want, and it'll work out for them because they're Nintendo. Or they'll stumble for a little bit and they'll figure something else out, and then it'll all eventually work out for Nintendo. But it feels like if they are trying to have some semblance of logic applied to the way that they are approaching their marketing for the year, after they might have like a small direct for to talk about Mario 3D World, and then talk about the rest of the year, a couple weeks after that comes out, or the week after that. That seems reasonable.
And I'm sure you got questions, but everybody's also wondering about a Switch Pro. That's the other thing, right? And
yeah,
again, it's like logically you think that's got to be happening soon, but I don't think we've heard anything about that.
Yeah,
really.
Well, I mean, so we got there was that recent leak from a pretty reliable like data miner, I think, who like looks in the Switch source code.
Wait, is this that one that had like a Kingdom Hearts game in it with the not that leak?
No, that was just a piece of paper someone printed out and took a picture of, which I love. I'm so happy that someone still tried to pull that one.
They misspelled software.
Yes, just think about it. Like it's that catch me if you can. Like if your mom hands you a piece of paper, like the first thing you do, you fold it and put it in your pocket. It's like they're not even thinking about it on that level. They're just like, if we take a picture of a piece of paper being printed out, people think it's real. But that makes me immediately know it's not real, because who's printing out paper in an office during the pandemic?
I know, that's my favorite thing. My mom doesn't understand yet that I don't have a printer, and she's so confused because I work on a computer all day. She's like, "How do you not have a printer?" I was like, "Mom, I don't have to print things on paper." She doesn't understand.
Yeah,
She always has me to print things for her.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
got
"I
to
don't
hand
have a
things
printer."
out to all your employees and stuff. Yeah, of course,
But
yeah.
what is this leak thing? 'Cause I guess I missed it then.
So yeah, there was some talk about it, but it like came on like right behind that leak. So I think a lot of people might have done what you did and associated them and dismissed it all.
Yeah.
So this other one is from, I can't remember, like someone in chat might know the name of the person who does the data mining. It's like Series M or something like that. But basically he went and he's like, based on what I'm seeing in the when I data mine the source code for the Nintendo Switch, there's things like an OLED screen, still using the Marico chip, which is the Marico system, which is the same thing that is inside the revised Switch. And people were kind of disappointed by that. They were like, "Oh, okay, so Nintendo's just doing that." And to me, that's the wrong stance to have about this stuff. That's actually pretty exciting, because Marico has a lot of untapped potential. There's a lot of power that Nintendo left on the table, and they just used it to get more battery life. But they could still unleash some of that power when it's docked, or it could like come with a dock that gives it even more power. But the Marico chip could easily be scaled up to, like, if you bumped up the chip speed, the clock speeds, you can get really good performance from a lot of games that are kind of running sort of chunky on Switch right now.
From somebody who knows nothing about this kind of chip stuff. But I thought the Switch ran on something called a Tegra, right?
Right. So yeah. So it's the Tegra X1 is the family, and then the Marico is Nintendo's most recent a customized version of the Tegra. Yes.
Hey, Nick Turbo sent $2. Said pour one out for the Axe body spray at the Kappa. I love Axe body spray. Is the funniest marketing like cautionary tale ever, because their whole thing was just wear Axe body spray and girls will have sex with you. So then, like, of course, only desperate losers started using Axe body spray. So the smell of Axe body spray became associated.
The smell of desperation. Yeah, desperation. Yeah.
And then they had to like, oh no.
There was something so artistic about that photo of the Axe body spray just laying there all alone amid this chaos. Did Axe
actually respond to it? Like, we don't.
Yeah, of course they did. Yeah, of course they did. Yes,
rants. I hate and love them.
We are 1 week into 2021, and that is something that has happened already.
That is something.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
We forgot to talk about Rad Game Tools. What's Rad Game?
Oh yeah, we can talk about that a little bit. But hang on, let's finish up the Switch Pro thing. So,
sorry, my mistake.
No. Yeah, no worries. So basically, the story is going to be that Nintendo is probably going to put a better screen in the Switch. They're probably going to unlock some of the power that it was already available in this Switch, and then maybe there could be a dock that has more power that enables them to basically output a 4K signal with the new Switch.
I mean, I told you my only concern is just making sure everything is like smooth 60 FPS. That's
right.
Really
And so, Marico could definitely do that. So, MVG, who, sometimes checks in on our chat or whatever, he did a video talking about overclocking the Switch, the new Switch, the revised Switch, I should say. And he was able to get 60 frames per second out of a lot of games by doing that. So, I think that's exciting to me. You're right. That's what I want. An OLED screen would be great. As long as it's a decent OLED, but I think an OLED they could do HDR would be fantastic. And then just a little bit more RAM, so developers have a little bit more to work with, which is I think they would really like. And then an SSD or just faster storage. Just
it sounds like you're saying the new Switch isn't going to have ray tracing, so I may as well just throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Just don't even do that. Don't even just buy it. Just find a truck that has them. Set it on fire. Save yourself the time. So yeah, the Epic acquired Rad, which is Rad Game Tools. Let's see, Rad Game Tools.
He probably wrote this for us, didn't he?
He did write this for us, yes. It's just a tool that a lot of developers use to to help make their games. It's kind of, there's not much other point. They're basically, Epic's going to use this to boost Unreal Engine even more.
Unreal Engine's been dominating, and I'm sure this will help.
Yes, yeah. I think Rad also they make that Bink video system. You know, whenever you start a game and it has like Bink at the beginning, and Bink's like a compression tool, I think, for video.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
I believe you. I don't know.
I mean, what else would it be? I don't know. Yeah, but there's just not much to talk about there. It's like, yeah, Epic has a lot of money. You know what? We also didn't talk about the fact that Epic bought a mall. I mean, did you hear that one?
That's what I would do if I had like obscene amount of money. I'd buy a mall.
Yeah, they're buying a mall and they're turning it into their new campus. So it's going to be their new offices. So
it's kind of weird.
Do you think that they keep the food court?
Oh, they'd be fools not to.
I think so too, right? Why would you buy them all? And like it's already ready to go. Yeah.
Now I'm suddenly like missing the mall experience. I liked going to the mall. I mean, not like the last 5 years as much when it's like kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Even before the pandemic, but back in the day, the mall was great. They finally got rid of our old our mall, like cut off like one of the arms of it that had the Sears, and they went out a little further, which took out the GameStop that was there. That used to be a Software Etc. back in the day. Now there was a video game store, man. Software Etc. That's where I got my Sega Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember buying Bug from.
The mall. I liked Tilt, the arcade. Like it was already kind of past its prime, the arcade days. But still, like going there as a kid and actually like seeing stuff like
it's probably like because the arcades had a decent resurgence thanks largely to Midway and like Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam in the 90s, and that's when I remember like the arcade at the mall, and it was great.
Yeah. It was when like there was a lot of different games still, which was nice. Eventually, like Dave and Buster's, like you go in and it's all these like mobile games that have been turned into arcade games
on an arcade game.
Truly depressing. Yeah,
and it upsets me.
It is a truly depressing experience to go to like one of those places now. At least Dave and Buster's. GameWorks was okay.
For a while, every mall had like our mall had 2 science stores, and by science stores, it was a place where you could buy like geodes and like like a dolphin that would balance.
Yep.
I loved it.
It was like it was like Spencer's for like real nerds. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Spencer's is great too, though.
Everybody buys their first dildo.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get through a few more questions, and then let's go talk about what we've been playing. Let's see, from Zach Moose ZL on Twitter. Hi, Zach. He says, "What's a genre or style of game you're disappointed has fallen by the wayside? Mine are point-and-click adventures. Also, did you know that on the official Rust website, it says it's coming soon to Xbox One and PS4? I didn't know that last part, but that's a weird thing. Yeah, it's a weird thing to say about Rust at this point. Because but yeah, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if that game eventually came to consoles in some way. Yeah, what's a genre style of game you're disappointed has fallen by the wayside, Mike?
It's weird because I mean, point-and-click adventure games, but like I don't know what it is because people do make those still sometimes, and every time I try it, I just can't go home again. You know?
Yeah.
I don't even think it's them. I think it's me. I think my love of point-and-click adventure games, especially those LucasArts ones in the 90s, like I think that's just what I wanted at that time. I really appreciated it then, and now I still like them because I have this nostalgia around them. But you know, even when Broken Age came out, right? I played the first part of that because I felt obligated to, and then like 6 months later, when part 2 came out, I just didn't really care. I don't know. So it's what I'm saying. If the point-and-click adventure game renaissance came, I don't think any of us would notice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, but yeah, I don't think you need to feel like that it's going to come or it's really going to come back. But is there a genre or style that like you still miss, even though it's gone, and even if you like know it shouldn't come back, is there something you miss? Like I have a hard time thinking of anything because everything that I like that did kind of go away, indie studios have started to resurrect it, like 3D platformers and stuff like that.
3D platformers is a big one, and they are coming back. The other one is beat 'em ups, and you know, I'm going to talk about this later, but beat 'em ups have had a huge comeback lately, and they've been amazing. But yeah, beat 'em ups were gone for a while, and now I think the big one for a lot of people at this particular moment is RTS. There aren't very many RTS games. I guess I'm also kind of sad that MMOs have become pretty stagnant. Like we have the few ones that are popular. Like no one's really experimenting or doing interesting things in terms of traditional like MMOs. You can call so many things an MMO now, right? But I mean like that EverQuest World of Warcraft style of an MMO.
Yeah, like Devin Barr in chat like points out like even like real Paper Mario is back because of games like Bug Fables There's like there's studios out there that are gonna bring this stuff back. It's like with MMOs. I bet we still get to a point where indie studios are making MMOs at some point.
And Riot's making an MMO, and maybe that'll be big. And whenever that comes out, maybe Crowfall will actually come out someday.
Yeah,
I don't know, but indies have really kind of done a lot. I can't think of too many genres that just don't exist, unless it's like full motion video games, right? Or like arcade, like the on rails shooters, which I could go for a new Time Crisis, I guess.
From Jason Wilson, will you bless the double IPAs from Berryessa Brew in my fridge? Mike, this one's for you. You gonna bless it?
No, it's not double IPA season yet. Double IPAs is more of a fall, summer. I mean, not spring, summer, maybe fall thing, but we're in the deep of winter. This is time for wheat ales and for stouts and porters. That's what I say.
All right, he's spoken. I think we all have to listen. I'll
send you some prosperity wheat if you want. It's good stuff.
I would
right here.
Love that, actually. Yes. From @anti-macro on Twitter, he says thoughts on Outriders being delayed to April to polish it up or to actually try to market the game. And he says, I actually used your hashtag GamesBeat Decides. Outriders, this is a game that I have had zero interest in so far, Mike. But that's just because I still don't. Those kinds of games don't fit into my life. Like, it's still kind of like a Destiny, right? That's what they're going for.
It's a looter shooter, but I don't think it's quite as open as thing. I'm the same way as you. This isn't super on my radar, but I think we all know that delays are a good thing now, right?
Right.
I feel like we're all finally done talking about Cyberpunk. I almost feel bad bringing it up for the first time this episode, but yeah, I think the lesson from that is going to be well learned throughout the industry for at least a few years.
Yeah, and you're going to get a lot of goodwill for delaying your game for quite some time, especially right now.
Mad at you for delaying your game right now, like why not? You're going to get away with it just fine.
Yep, and you don't want to run the risk of being the next Cyberpunk at all. Even though I think it's probably pretty unlikely, I think you just take this goodwill and run with it. The people investing in your studios, you can tell them, hey, look what happened to CD Projekt Red, this beloved studio. I think we really should just take the time and money and make sure we do this right. All those conversations got super easy. So, but as far as like polishing up or to actually try and market the game, I think it's got to be both, right? You got to the games need to be as polished as possible, because that's what actually like gets you a really big pop when you first come out. But I haven't heard people really talking about Outriders all that much.
No. So I could probably use a bit more of a marketing push too. So yeah,
right.
I think it makes sense all around.
Yep. Yeah, and I think what does that look like? To me, it probably looks like trying to pay some Twitch personalities to play it. Yeah. But so do that, and then maybe that game can survive. Let's see. I think most of this other stuff is about stuff we already answered. Well, hang on. Let's read this one. From @SirDrew. I think Blessing and Imran were going wild yesterday talking about a Fallout game made by Obsidian on KFGD. I thought even the suggestion of that was wild, but we have already seen Microsoft share IP across studios. Do you think something that big is possible? Yes.
Yeah, I talked about this before, but it kind of goes back to Bethesda being busy. So let's say Starfield comes out and it's a hit. Do we really think that they are going to spend, like, every 6 years they're going to come out with a Starfield, a Fallout, and an Outer Scrolls? It's pretty likely that they're going to say, no, someone else has to take one of these on.
Right.
And why the heck not Obsidian,
right,
who already made a Fallout game that everybody likes and we already own? Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen. It would not be the most shocking thing in the world, especially at this particular moment. The one thing that's kind of off with the timing is that Obsidian's working on that kind of Elder Scrolls game.
Right, yeah.
Which I think if everything was maybe 1 year advanced, they may not have greenlit that. Right?
Maybe. I mean, who knows if Elder Scrolls 6 is still actually like 5 years away.
Yeah. So no, it makes some sense. I mean, I would certainly like to see it happen because I like a lot of people like Fallout 76.
Nope. No, you don't like Fallout 76. Oh, did you say
76? Fallout New Vegas. Excuse me.
Man, someone clip that.
What?
I, like a lot of people, love Fallout 76, says Mike Minotti.
Christian said a swear word, so I had to approve his chat. That's why I was distracted. I'm going to blame him.
Yeah, New Vegas is a game that I've dipped into a few times, and I'm so ready to go back and really, really play that. But yeah, I think this seems it seems reasonable, and I think that there's like reason to get excited about that possibility, because the more excitement that Microsoft hears, and if there's like excitement within like Obsidian to do something like that, the more likely it is to happen. So yeah, I think
if it's just like they kind of help them make it right, even if the two studios go, because I mean, otherwise, like when does Fallout 5 come out? Like 8 years from now,
right? I don't. Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think there's any way they're going to wait that long. They're going to figure something out, and you know, maybe that means expanding Obsidian, but Obsidian seems like a studio that could do with expanding. Like, give them another team, let them use that studio culture and expand it, and like start like, you know, training a new generation of Obsidian developers.
If Avowed wasn't already a thing, I would say like I would expect this to happen.
Same.
But since that makes things a little bit confusing or difficult, I guess.
Yeah. All right. I think it's gonna do it for questions. If I missed your question, I'm sorry. There's people asking about Dying Light 2, and I just haven't been paying enough attention. I know that it seems like it's a mess, but I haven't been paying enough attention. Any news on GTA 7? CES. Yes, that's a joke. CES tier list. Best gaming fridges. Go, from Mike Epstein, friend of ours, Mike Epstein. Yeah. So just a bunch of jokes, which are, I appreciate the CES one, Mike. Yeah.
Man, they do have to announce GTA 6 pretty soon here, huh? It's kind of weird that they didn't release a single new GTA that entire generation. Not that they had to, because GTA 5 was such a giant hit, but still, it's just development has gotten so much longer, right? It used to be we had 2 Elder Scrolls games and 2 GTA games in the Xbox 360 era. And now it's 1 or none for both of those. It's insane.
I mean, yeah, it's just that the GTA Online, man, it just makes more money. It's like a better investment than making a new game. I mean,
well, I mean, they're making one. It's in the
yeah, for sure. It's a better investment than making Bully, or better investment than making Rockstar's Table Tennis. That's what I'm saying. Obviously, they're gonna make a GTA 6. Okay, then let's get back here on this list. Let's see. So you've been playing quite a few games. I'm like glad you were able to get to a bunch of stuff over the holidays. Do you want me to do Hitman 3 first, or do you want to go first and then? Okay. I
want to hear, as I am excited for this. This is
should be.
I've never cared that much about this franchise, and then you got me playing Hitman 1. I'm like, oh yeah, this actually is good. And then this year I finally like finished Hitman 1 and played all of Hitman 2, and I'm like, man, I am pumped for this.
Right. So the things that make Hitman good, you know, I was like you, not into the series until the 2016 version. So like when I started playing along, I'm like, okay, I don't know what the old games were like. I think they're pretty close to this, but whatever this is like very much my jam. And the thing about it that makes it so good is it's this right balance between guiding you through a very authored experience, but the reason for the guidance, the purpose behind that is to show you all of the fun trinkets and machinations that IO has put into the levels, to show you all the fun interactions that you could have, and then to open up your mind and say, here's some other stuff you could do. And if you don't want to do like that comes from like, okay, you play the game enough or play a level enough, you get really intimately familiar with it, and then you go back and apply all that knowledge in a bunch of fun ways, and it's a really good time. But
it's a sandbox assassination game, and it's better at being that than anything else has ever been by far. Maybe Microsoft 5 is the next closest thing.
Yes, exactly. A very similar sort of spirit there. But like, even if you don't necessarily want to like be the person that's like, you're not a sandbox person, you just want to have the guided experience. The guided experience is still fantastic, because they still make you feel like you are setting off these elaborate contraptions and make you feel like you are very much a part of it.
Even there's still some room for improvisation.
Yes, absolutely.
You still have to be sneaky and stealthy and kind of figure things out too.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, so if you follow this, it's a gimme.
Yeah. This is, to me, so far from what I've played, and they gave me the code for the entire game. I basically focused on the first 2 levels, because I think that when I get final code, I'll be able to use my IO account that has like ongoing progression from the previous 2 games, so I'll have like a bunch of stuff already unlocked. Although I can't stop playing it, so I might, who knows, maybe I'll unlock more stuff in this version. But whatever. I focused on the first 2 levels, which is Dubai, and then the murder mystery like mansion, the Agatha Christie Knives Out thing.
You're excited for that second level. You say
it is so good. So I wasn't allowed to like show any of my video for it, but I could talk about it. It's fantastic. It is maybe the best Hitman level ever. And the things that make it good is they're like, let's just really see this whole idea through. Like, let's really make the murder mystery happen. You know, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's like stuff happening that you can like activate and like not even realize that what you did, and then suddenly like things are like happening in the background. You're like, wait, I didn't do that. Why is this happening? And you go like try to like. What happened with me was I did that, and it was really late at night, and I'm like, well, I had already decided it was my last playthrough, and this thing happens, and it, like, you know, shows you sometimes the picture-in-picture of like something happening off screen, and I saw it, I'm like, how is that possible? Because I didn't make that happen. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to go to bed. And I get in bed, and I just could not stop thinking about all of the ways maybe this was happening. Okay, I need to go investigate this. I'll have to do that tomorrow. And I just couldn't go to sleep. So I just went back downstairs and started playing again to try to figure out exactly what was going on there. And that has happened to me over and over, where I just got so excited about an idea or so excited about something that was like planted in the game by the studio.
What's the release date for this?
January 20th. We're 2 weeks away. It's just
wow. That's funny. What a day. That's now the most important thing happening on that day.
Yes, exactly. It really is. Yes. It's going to be a good, like if that, like, you know, who knows, maybe that'll be like another thing where things go wrong here in America. This will be a nice respite for a lot of people, I think, because this is just, it's just fun. They just really, they nailed it.
And I mean, yeah, just doing more of it is basically
right.
all I need. Like, just make really good levels.
Right.
And I know that there's like the shortcuts you were talking about, kind of like the big new thing here.
Right. So I think this is and it's like really plays into like what IO Interactive is going for, where you know, they created a lot of incentives to go back and play these levels over again, because that's what they want. And that's why like the original Hitman 2016 game was episodic. You would play one stage for a really long time, get really familiar with it, and it was a good idea.
Episodic games kind of stopped being a thing. The timing was a little off for them.
Yes, it was a good idea for this game. It was also like a really fundamentally sound idea in terms of like making sure that you were continually adding new content. And they've kept that spirit, even though now they've released all the levels at once. Now they still have like content that comes out over time, but basically the point is they want you to play these stages over and over again. You don't have to. You can still have fun with this game even if you don't. I think you'll miss out a little bit, but whatever. You won't miss out on a ton if that's not your thing. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like playing levels over and over again, it's still a good game. But they've created these incentives from, you know, the beginning, from the 2016 game, where like there's a bunch of challenges you could do if you go back and play the game over again. There's a bunch of different story paths that you could take to see the different ways that you could kill these people that have been set up by IO. You could still like, you know, do leaderboard chasing. There's a lot of stuff that like was trying to incentivize you to come back, but it was like they were like passive. They're like in the background. You still have to sort of decide to engage with that stuff. And what they've done this time is create shortcuts in level. And excuse me, the shortcuts work in a way where once you unlock them, they are permanent. So you might get to a point where I remember I was, you know, in the Dubai stage, and I got to this closet, and it seemed like a dead end. And there aren't usually dead ends in Hitman games. And I was very confused by it. And I realized later that by taking the difficult path to get up to like a really difficult location, I found this like yellow ladder that I could unlock with a crowbar, and that dropped the ladder down into that room. And now I have a shortcut. And I'm like, wait, you know, it's not going to help me now. And I put two and two together. Oh, I can use this on my next run. And what happens then at that point is you start immediately thinking about, oh, if I had this ladder earlier in this stage, I could have like come around on this like, from this different angle and done this assassination in a completely different way. I could even like bring in a sniper rifle now, and no one would see me. And you start creating all of these new ideas in your head.
Evolution of how in the last two games you kind of unlock new starting points, right?
Yes,
it's sort of like that.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so the starting points are pretty close. That they still have those, and now it's like it's still like it's physically in the level, and you are physically doing something. You know, you're doing something in the level. You're changing it, and I think that has a more tactile sort of sensation when you're playing the game, where you're pretty familiar with the space, and now you understand the change you just made to it pretty well. And I think when you have that happen, you're like, okay, I have a plan. I actually just want to go right back in and try and see if that plan works. And it's really smart. And it's a really good way of like, I think, encouraging people to come back around and try different things. And the whole game is built like with this stuff around. There's another cool thing in the game that I didn't put in my story. They do director's commentary. And I don't know if they did this in the last two. I don't remember it being in there. But you could choose to start, from the starting location. And then there's another version of that has the director's commentary, and they talk about all the decisions they made to make sure that people were like experiencing the game in the way that they wanted. Like on the the murder mystery stage, they talked about like we did a lot of work to make sure that the investigation like sort of side of this level was very in depth, that there's a lot of gameplay, there's a lot to do, and we didn't want anyone to miss it, so we considered just letting people start as the detective, and like that's probably the way we should do it. And then like we had some conversations like, but that would deny people to have the opportunity to like break into the house, which is a key part of Hitman. And they explain this to you as you're like doing it, as you're breaking into the house, and it's like, okay, no, they were totally right to make this decision. I see why they did this, and I also see, as they explain, how they do the breadcrumbs of like of laying out the breadcrumbs in front of you of how enticing the detective storyline seemed, and they're like, we're going to put it right in front of you, make sure you see it, make sure that you want to do it, and so that's like the first thing you try. And it was absolutely how I played the game the first time without the director's commentary. I saw this interesting stuff in front of me, and it's like, okay, I got to go try that stuff out. And they're just very, very smart about setting up these levels in that way, and it's just it just seems like the pinnacle of what they've been going for. It seems like they know exactly the kind of game that they're making, and they have this really strong, firm grip on how to accomplish it now, and I've been just loving it. And again, just the first 2 levels over and over again for hours now, probably like 15 hours in this game so far.
It's a couple questions. Like, what is it like playing the levels from the past 2 games in there? Is it just like how it was playing Hitman 1 levels and Hitman 2?
Yes, so it is exactly like that, but it also like it's exactly like that in that it takes advantage of some of the new visual tech that's in Hitman 3. So the reflections are better, which is like the big thing, and it looked a little bit better. It also runs a little bit better as well because the games I think are more optimized. So yeah, I haven't done a ton of going back to those stages, but I did a little bit of it today. I went to Whittleton Creek, the suburb stage from Hitman 2, and I'm like, this game, I think it's running, but they, there's like it's not just reflections. They have I can't remember the name of the tech, but basically what it does is if there's like a dark part of the image that you wouldn't be able to make out with the human eye, it uses a lower resolution for that part of the screen to save resources. So it has that in there, and I think that was like improving performance. And I was running the game at 4K, 120 like frames per second on the LG TV, and it looked even better. And I had just been playing this same stage on Hitman 2 just a little bit ago, and I'm like, I do notice a difference in that the game looks even better now. So that's the big difference there.
A less important question: are like the story cutscenes? Are they still kind of like the slideshows, or are they back to full cinematics?
I as far as I could tell, I think they're back to full cinematics. It's not. There's no. I haven't seen any of like the comic book panels sort of thing yet. I think there might be some like more in-game cinematics was where they might be doing more of like the storytelling there, like in engine. I mean, and then when they like do like the cinematics, it's more abstract stuff. Like you're seeing like pictures of files and stuff.
Right.
Or
Like,
or
like full on CG cinematics, and then by
right.
Hitman 2, kind of tell like, well, we don't need to spend that money on that.
Right. Yeah. Right. I got this. The decision too. It made sense. But I haven't like. That stuck out to me too. The comic book style, it doesn't stick out to me here. Like there's nothing like that where it's like, oh, this seems like they are cutting corners. All the stuff they're going for just feels like they are going for a vibe and achieving it. So that stuff's working for me.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Game of the year.
Yeah, man, it's exactly what I wanted to be playing right now, especially after Cyberpunk was like disappointing for me. It was like I want a game that it just like knows what it's going for and does it really well, and like is a play, a sandbox where I could just like play around inside of it. And this game is absolutely that, and I'm really enjoying it. So
I don't know if you're ready for a segue, but it is making me think of, because I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla right now, and like it is still so weird to me how this used to be a stealth focused game, right? Like it used to be something a bit more like Hitman. And I am enjoying Valhalla. I'm enjoying it more than I enjoyed the last 2 really RPG ones. They toned back some of the RPG stuff. They have a bit more stealth opportunities in there. But there is a part of me that's still just like, man, I kind of could almost go for something like Assassin's Creed 1 again, where it was just straight up, here's the target, like go get them. Something a bit more open. And I don't know if they ever, there's something, there is a system, it's almost like the Nemesis system where there are these bad guys that are kind of wandering around the world and you can go hunt them down. And when you kill them, it's even like in Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, where you're in like that floaty space talking to them for a bit. And like that happened. I thought that was neat. But I mean, as far as like an open world RPG kind of thing, though, it is very good. It's, has a lot to do. It looks very pretty. I mean, visually, for the most part, Ubisoft games are always like they're janky in weird places. For as much story as they have, the presentation of the story itself is never very good. Like the voice acting is always so okay. It's incredible. Like there's no highs and lows unless a person's screaming and you want to call that a high. There's never very much like I'm not saying they sound like robots, but there's very little inflection or emotion to it. And it's like that in this. It's like that in Immortals. I feel like it's like that in the Watch. I don't know what it is, but performances.
It's like
in Ubisoft,
I think I think what it is they're using good actors with like very not poor direction, but just that absence of a lot of direction. It is just good actors like who would never fall below okay. Just kind of doing the best they can with the direction they're being given, which probably isn't very much because there's just so much audio to record. The direction would just get in the way, and no one, they're like, that would just cost us more money. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make a difference to our bottom line in the long run, anyhow. So I get what you're saying, but let me ask, compare it to Ghost of Tsushima for me. I think you still like Ghost of Tsushima more.
I like Ghost of Tsushima more. Ghost of Tsushima was just a bit more fun. I don't know. Yeah, part of it was because maybe I didn't have that burden of even thinking about it that much as a stealth game, even though it had the same amount of stealth mechanics. In that game, I just like walked in, I was like, all right, I'm gonna kill everybody. And in this game, like, even though I know I could just do that, it would probably be easier. I'm still like going around and looking and like holding in the right bumper button so the enemies turn red so I can see where they are. And I'm like, why am I even doing it? Thank God that you still have like your bird friend in this game, but it is way less important. Like that was so obnoxious to me in the last two. Every time you went somewhere, it's like summon the bird. All right, fly around, tag this bad guy, tag that bad guy, and you do that for like 5 minutes. Like, all right, are all the bad guys tagged? Now I can see where like, you can tag a couple bad guys, but it's not very important anymore. So, very glad they de-emphasized the bird. Put it on the box.
That's the name of the episode too.
De-emphasize the bird.
Yeah, de-emphasize the bird. Yeah.
England looks really good though. Like the environment, very nice. The side quests are sometimes so aggressively stupid. I get mad.
Right.
Like there's a very early one. And again, like most of the time, the game's like a serious Viking thing. It's historical. There's like a side quest. There's like a lady outside, and she's like, I can't have sex with my husband anymore because he only gets hard if we're raiding. And I was like, okay, wow. They're like, come inside and burn our house down while we try to have sex. And that's what I did. And it was aggressively stupid. And I didn't like it.
Is it because it doesn't fit in with the tone or overall, or is it just like?
But no, it's also just really, it's just all really, really stupid. Like it's not funny.
Right.
It's
okay.
silly. And I feel like that's all like side quest. They got to be like goofy, haha.
Yeah.
And it's stupid. It's just whatever. And there's another one. It's like, my dad like shit everywhere. Go pick up the shit pots and throw them out.
I like the one where the guy was like,
why would I ever do this? Why would I agree to help this person?
There was a game I was playing recently that had like some funny side quests, and I remember thinking this was nice, but it wasn't Valhalla. But I don't know. I'm like, because I love Saints Row games. I like games that are aggressively stupid.
Yeah, well, if you work in Saints Row, if it's all like that, even then, it's not totally my thing. But again, like, God, bring Witcher 3 back. Like Witcher 3 is well known for its side quests. Like the side quests didn't necessarily feel like that different from main quests, except that they didn't necessarily progress that story. They're still kind of taken seriously and well crafted. Here it's like, it's a side quest, make it about poop and sex.
Okay. Yeah. No, if I'm getting that sense, yeah, that would be, I would feel the same way.
I'm literally, and it is still kind of a map game, but I literally am actually forcing myself to be like, I'm not doing them. I don't want to do the side quest. Screw it. I don't care. They're bad. Like, what? I get 2 skill points or something for doing one. Whatever. I'll go raid something instead.
Those people had sex so good, you got 2 skill points, Mike. You got to consider that.
Yes, but sure. People talk about sex. I mean, at least people aren't just like out there. It's what in Odyssey. I feel like you talk to everybody. It's like, do you want to have sex with this person? I'm like, sure. I don't know. What do you want from me? So I don't. It's weird because like I am playing it quite a bit and I am liking it, but there are still like. There's still so much room for improvement, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Are you going to see it through? Because it seems like a very big game.
Maybe. I'm playing it right now, and it is a very big game. The one thing that sucks right now is I'm playing through like the 5-hour story chain that I did in one of my previews. So it's like, doing this again, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That could be the kind of thing that would make me stop. So yeah.
Honestly, until Hitman comes out, I'll probably stick with it. And once that happens, who knows?
Yeah. That is like the first big game, right? And there's probably not much until Mario after that, right? I felt like there was supposed to be a ton of games coming out early this year, but maybe it's not until March.
The last few years, I felt like the first part was packed.
Yeah.
This year, I don't know. Maybe somebody could say what we're missing, but I can't bring up 2021 games, but I can't remember much.
So what else you been playing?
I remember last time when oh wait, when's Far Cry 6? Didn't that get that?
I think I got delayed. I got delayed.
Yeah, it's a lot of okay. Ratchet and Clank, I don't think has a real release date. Yeah, I don't think there's that much else coming out early 2021. But so last time I was talking about how slow Dragon Quest 7 was and how I just kind of wasn't feeling it at that moment. So I took a break and played Streets of Rage 2 instead via that Sega Genesis Classics collection or whatever it's called on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good video game. That was fun. I just kept playing through it. I was playing as Blaze. I just kept doing it so I could finally beat it like on my own in one sitting without the save states and all that stuff. Just really learning like the intricacies of like kind of how all these moves can come together and help me, and how placement is important and the best strategies for the bosses. And it's it's almost kind of like that Hitman thing, right? And so many games used to be like that.
Right.
It was that kind of mastery of the game that you would develop by going like you weren't supposed to beat it the first time. That would be ridiculous. And it was just a really good time. I had a lot of fun. And then after that, I was able to get back into Dragon Quest 7. After like 20 hours of gameplay, I finally unlocked the job system. So now I can get classes and start mixing classes and grind to get better classes. And that's my cup of tea. I love that stuff. So now I'm getting into it a good deal more, because I'm just like fighting monsters and like, oh, if I get this character to learn Jester, Troubadour, and this thing, then she can become a Luminary. And when I mix that with the Sage class, then she can become a Druid. That's great. So,
I feel I would like to do like we did a last week, if anyone missed it, we did a ranking of a tier list for Nintendo consoles, and I'm like I could imagine us doing one for best like RPG systems or best RPG progression systems and like jobs, like the job system, stuff like that. But I don't know if I could think of enough to actually do a tier list. But I thought about that because like I really like job systems.
Oh, me too. Obviously, 5 is the best one still, I think. I mean, Bravely Default is great because it's literally the Final Fantasy 5 one. But this one,
I think it was Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced to add a job system that I like.
That one was very similar to Final Fantasy 5.
Okay,
I understand.
I like that a lot.
Played that one a whole ton. But the way it works here is that there's beginner jobs, intermediary, and advanced. All the jobs you learn from the beginner, or the spells you mean, and abilities from a beginner job, you keep no matter what. And then depending on which if you like unlock a priest and warrior, then you can become a gladiator, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then if you become 3 intermediary jobs, you can become an advanced job, stuff like that. So there's a good amount of, not a ton of quote unquote like complexity. It's relatively simple, but it's very good progression.
Yeah. Yes. And it's I don't know. I just like it's very evocative. The jobs, like you always like, oh, I want to see, and you always keep the stuff. Like that's I think the thing I like about it. Like you keep everything you had before, and now you're
not necessarily everything. Most of the times, there's it's almost select things, which is almost even more interesting sometimes.
Well, yeah,
and
okay, yeah.
From intermediate on, you don't keep the abilities, but you want to level those up so that you can then access the advanced ones. It's interesting.
Right.
It's good stuff. And
yeah.
The other thing is, I've actually been playing Call of Duty Warzone.
How do you feel about it?
It's been fun because I've just been playing with my brothers and our one friend. So we have a group of 4. And yeah, it's a really good battle royale experience. It's the most fun I've had with one since I got into Apex Legends, like that game's first 4 months or so. There really are some, I don't want to, everyone knows how this game works, but there are some smart things there. The gulag system where you get that one chance to come back.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty fun. The map is nice. And it runs really well on Xbox Series X. So
I don't know. Time. I feel like if I've tried Warzone, it's only been like once. I played the Black Ops one a few times.
Yeah, I played that one too. I didn't play Warzone at all.
Right.
Until my brothers were like, we're gonna do this. I was like, okay, and it's actually been fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a game that a lot of people are enjoying. I see a lot of friends who are streamers continually going back to that game for a long time. So there's something there for sure. I was always like, I don't know if I want to get into another battle royale. So, right. Anything else, or should we get on out of here?
I think we can maybe think about getting out of here.
All right, so we'll be back with another new episode next week. Like I was saying a little bit ago, me and Mike have decided maybe we're gonna, once a week is the plan right now, get together sometime in the middle of the week and rank some stuff, do some actual deciding as GamesBeat Decides. Tier list is kind of what we're starting with. If you have any suggestions, let us know. I think we have a few ideas. But
yeah, we did Nintendo consoles. I know we want to do core Mario games, but we don't want to do back-to-back Nintendo, so we got to think of something between there. But if you have any ideas, blast them.
There were some people in a Discord that was giving us some ideas. That's the other thing. I want to find I want to do a Discord for GamesBeat Decides. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that, because GamesBeat has, we're doing a Discord sort of thing, but we're doing it as part of a
kind of a professional thing.
Yes, do it kind of as a professional thing.
You guys aren't professionals, but
I can't have this riffraff mixing with the professionals. I will tell you that much, Mike. But I have my own Discord, and that's where we have like How Games Make Money has a channel there, and the Patreon members get to go in there. I'm trying to think about the best way to do it. I think I might just open up that Discord to everyone, and then have some channels that are just for people that were Patreon subscribers to the How Games Make Money, and maybe something else. We'll have to see how that goes. But if you have thoughts, if that's something you're interested in, let me know on Twitter. And I guess that should take us to how you can contact us. Mike, why don't you start? How can people reach out to you on the internet?
Find me on Twitter at Tokoto, TOLKOTO, and check out 90s Disney, my 90s Disney podcast. Our last episode was about the Animal Kingdom ride Countdown to Extinction, also known today as just Dinosaur. So you can learn all about that.
And I am Jeff Grubb on Twitter. So if you have questions about that, if you Christian in chat is saying like use the eco one. We did an eco game, which is a game I really like.
Many channels and things.
Yeah, so I think we'll probably I think I might just open that up. And so the next time that we do a podcast, I think I will have and honestly, I might set it up so that the link is in the description for this video and in the description for the podcast. So if you're listening to this, check there. If it's not there, I promise it'll be there next week. And then also I have my other podcast, How Games Make Money. I'll be coming back with some new episodes for that hit pretty soon, now that we're back from the holidays. And then, I don't know. Anything else, you could just reach out to me on Twitter and ask me questions there if you have any questions about any other stuff I do. All right, Mike, we're going to get out of here. So everyone, have a good one. Until next week, take care of yourself, and goodbye.
Bye.